This is one question from your BPP kit, which says independent living. It's about Porter value chain. The question is for 25 marks. There are two parts to that question, part A and part B. Actually, if you ask me, this question is quite simple. Scenario is very simple. Answer is also very straightforward. It's not really a difficult question. But the reason why I picked up this question was that we want to discuss a few important things using this simple scenario. So you have already read this question. Actually, it's a non-profit organization question. Whenever they tell you a situation which is non-profit organization, a charity, then few additional considerations will come to your mind, and you should not ignore that situation. If they tell you that this is a question which is related to a charity, so you should immediately be ready that while making any recommendations or doing any kind of analysis, it's not a commercial organization. Why do they tell you that it is charity? They could have told you that it's a company. But when they specifically tell you that it's a charity, so this is actually a sign or a signal for you to get ready for few exceptional situations. So this is one point which we will be focusing here, which means that our answer, when we will draft our answer, we'll keep in mind that we are talking about, because you have to make, these are real life kind of scenarios. So you have to give solutions, or you have to make analysis or recommendations which are practically possible or acceptable by the management or for the company. So this is one thing. So the situation is that it's a charity, and they provide some aiding, equipment to disabled people, which include walking frames, crutches, mobility scooters, bath lifts, bathroom and bedroom accessories, etc. So primary focus is on providing these gadgets or pieces of equipment to those people who are physically, less abled or disabled. This is the scenario. And out of these type of goods, they make them in two categories. They call them simple items, which they make or manufacture in-house, which are walking frames and crutches. And then there are few goods or items which are bigger items, like mobility scooters they buy from outside. And then they store them, they keep them until they are being sold. And the question actually it tells you that they are losing the market. And the management is afraid that they might not become or remain sustainable in the longer run, because other commercial organizations are doing it better than them, and they are losing market. They already made a loss in the last year. And, they are not competitive. They are not competitive. So here comes in the question now. This is a scenario. And in the question, they ask you very specifically. Sometimes in some questions, you are thinking about that which model is related or which model we are making reference to. But in this question, it is very simple, because they told you straight away in requirement 1, analyze the primary activities of the value chain. So we know that we are talking about Porter's value chain, and there are primary activities and support activities, and they are actually asking you primary activities. So please make sure that you don't waste your time on discussing support activities. So don't talk about support, because they are asking you that make an analysis of the primary activities of the value chain, Porter's value chain. And part B is evaluate what changes it might consider to the primary activities in the value chain to improve the competitiveness while continuing to meet their charitable objectives. So this is where it comes about the role of charity. So both of the parts are academic, but they are related to the scenario. Both are talking about primary activities. In part A, you will analyze the primary activities and probably some weaknesses. And in part 2 would be about that how you can improve those primary activities. But while making recommendations for improvement, you should not be missing out on meeting the objectives of a charity, the charitable objectives, whatever they are. Don't forget that it's not a commercial organization. So there might be many recommendations. If the same scenario is given and if the same conditions they exist in a commercial organization, you might have given some other recommendations which are more profit oriented, which are more shareholder wealth maximization related, and you could be very brutal. I'm using the word brutal. You could be very brutal in optimizing those processes because your sole objective is to make money. But in this case, although you do want to make improvement, but you do have some charitable objectives as well, which means that you have to find a fine balance between what can be done and what should be done. What can be done is possible, but if I do it, I might be compromising my charitable objectives. So I have to restrict myself. We do want to make money. We do want to become profitable, but not at the cost of losing our mission statement. So this is an important thing to understand, that how to, take this question over. Now, before I begin, why do we use Porter's value chain? We all know, you guys all have read about Porter's value chain. You have watched the lectures, you have read your study text, whatever. But sometimes I know that students, they still lack in the understanding that why do I need this thing, where it helps me, and why it really, what purpose does it serve? So remember that Porter value chain businesses, what do they deliver? Now, whether it is a business or it is a charitable organization, whatever it is, it delivers goods and services. And actually, when you deliver goods and services, you are actually delivering value, and that value is delivered through goods and service. For example, when I sell air conditioner, so no customer needs air conditioner. Actually, there is some value, there is some purpose which is solved. The purpose is, I need to bring down the temperature of my room. I need a cooler environment, and that air conditioner is a purpose to solve that issue. And it brings some value to it. And because it is bringing me some value, I'm willing to pay some money. So there is always a combination of cost, which customers are willing to pay, and the value which they receive in return. And the purpose, you would be competitive, or you would remain competitive as long as you are, outcasting your competitors in delivering or maximizing the value. The more value you give, as long as you keep on, you continue to increase the value which you are delivering, you remain competitive in the market. But when your competitors start delivering more value than you against the same money, or maybe slightly more or less money, but as soon as another option or another alternative comes in which brings more value to the customers, you just start losing the market. This is what is happening with this company. Now, how do you maximize the value? So what we see here, that business actually, it's an accumulation of different processes. It's an accumulation of different activities which we perform. And those processes and activities finally are finally converted into the final good or service that we give to our customers. I give you an example. Let's suppose that you are a restaurant. So, buying of the raw materials, which mean the food ingredients, cooking. So you buy fresh food, fresh ingredient, then you cook them very well in the most neat, clean, hygienic, and healthy way. Food is very tasty. Then it is delivered, hot and fresh to the customers. So all of these things, these are different activities. These are different processes which are undertaken in order to deliver the final good or service to the customer or to the user. And you need to make sure that these activities which I perform, all of these activities are somehow adding value or adding more and more value to the ultimate process. So Porter value chain. Now, when I say that we need to improve on business, so let's suppose that I talk to you about a restaurant, or let's suppose if we are talking about this particular entity, which is independent living. So if we say that we need to improve the activities, or if we say that we need to improve the processes of independent living, so there might be 100 processes. The question is where to start with. Do I have a roadmap? Do I have a checklist? Do I know that which activities should I be focusing at, or which activities are more important, which activities are less important? So you need some guidance over that. So Porter value chain actually, it divides all the activities or all the processes which are done by a business into 9 or 10 different categories. And then you put activities into different categories, and you see that which activity is done properly, which activity is adding value, which is the activity there which we are performing, but it is not adding any value to the customer. For example, I'll just say you one thing. You always have if you think about like finished good warehouse. So finished good warehouse, it is one of the activities in outbound logistics. It is important sometime that you should have a finished good warehouse, so that whenever customers, they make an order, you should be able to immediately deliver them the goods. So as far as delivering the goods immediately, because they were present in my warehouse, so this is adding value, because customer does not have to wait. They can call and I can send the goods. And customers say, oh, I receive my orders very fast. It's a value. I mean, you guys place orders online. And if somebody tells you that if you place order today, you give money today, and we will deliver you goods in 15 days, and the other supplier says, I will deliver you good in 2 days. So these are the same goods, but receiving them early it does have some value. So you would prefer the supplier who makes a promise that I would deliver that within 48 hours or 72 hours. So early delivery is adding value. And that's why we are having outbound logistics or finished goods warehouses. But at the same time, does it make sense that I keep goods for 20 days in my finished good warehouse? Now, every day the goods, they remain in my warehouse, it adds up to my cost, because you've got the holding cost, your money is stuck. You guys have read your financial management. So interest cost or financial costs are being being accumulated with every single day. If I've got 10,000 worth of inventory or 100,000 worth of inventory in my warehouse, I am paying interest to the bank on that money. So having money in my warehouse, having goods in my warehouse, it adds value. But should these goods remain in my warehouse for 20 days? Will it add more value? The answer is no. The customer does not care whether you keep these goods for 20 days or whether they keep these goods for 1 day or 1 week or 40 days. It's just that whenever customer comes in, the goods should be there. So therefore, you need to make sure that the goods which are in your warehouse, you don't keep them for a longer than needed period of time. Keep them with the minimum time so that the value in terms of delivering them immediately should be there, but it should not cost me 20 days of holding cost. So this is just one example. So you analyze your processes, which are your different processes, and some of the processes are directly related to the customer or the consumer. They can feel that there is some value. They see the value in there. Early delivery is the value in there. And they are willing to pay probably $5 more. If somebody says, I can deliver you in 15 days for, $100, and other one says, I can deliver you in 2 days in $103, I'm pretty sure that most customers would be willing to pay $3 more for a faster delivery. So cost and value analysis is there. Now, the thing is that this is the value which customers can see, and they can, it is real. It does have a tangible impact on them. But there are some activities in the business which customers are not seeing, which customers are not really getting direct value or direct benefit out of them. So what we did that we converted these things, whatever activities we have in our organization, we converted them into two groups. We call them primary activities and we call them support activities. These primary activities are those ones which directly contributing or contribute towards, increasing or accumulating the value to the customer. And these are the support activities which are at the back. These support activities, they provide support to all of them. So if you see that procurement is written is like in a horizontal line. So this horizontal line actually is providing how to say, technology development is helping in inbound logistic, it helps in operations, it helps in this one, it helps in this one, and it helps in this one. So they are horizontally laid out. Why are they horizontally laid out? Because each one of them, they support each one of the primary activities. And primary activities they have named as inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics. So inbound logistics is receiving of materials, storing of materials, and then issuing of materials. Operations is converting the materials into the final product. Outbound logistic is, delivery to the customer, storing of the finished goods, and then delivery to the customers. Marketing and sales, of course, you understand what is it. And service means after sales service and after sales support. So this is the process. These are the activities which are called primary activities. And by the way, like I told you that within each of these activities, there are different processes. And you need to analyze these processes and find out that if some of the processes can be done in a better way. So there might be for example, in inbound logistic, you might have 3 or 4 processes or 3 or 4 activities. And you say that this one activity, do I really need to do it or not? Maybe I can eliminate it. I'm spending money on this thing, but it might not be delivering value. It is unnecessary. So let's remove this one. This one, should I keep it or should I remove it? The answer is no, it is important. You should keep it. Then the question arises, is there a better way of doing this activity? Or should we keep it as it is? Or should we change it? So what Porter's value chain model, it does, that it helps you in number one, separating all the activities, then putting them into different groups, and then separating that which groups are contributing towards the delivery of ultimate value to the customer, and then analyzing these activities and asking yourself questions. Number one, do I need to keep it or should I let it go? Should I remove it? If I'm keeping it, is there a better way of doing it or not? And if there is a better way of doing it, let's do it in a better way. The better way of doing means that either it saves you money, or it improves quality, or it increases the value. So, delivery, for example, if you talk about delivery, outbound logistics, within outbound logistics, there is a concept, let's suppose, free delivery, let's suppose. As part of the industry norm, you should be delivering goods to your customers. Customers don't have this ability to take goods from you. For example, you are a retail store, you sell electronics, you sell refrigerators. So if you sell refrigerators, you don't expect customers to come in and take refrigerator, put it on their cars. If you are a mobile phone seller, free delivery is not needed. Customer can buy the mobile phone, sell it and go home. But in case of refrigerators, it's a big thing. And customers do not have, vehicles, but you have a delivery vehicle. If a customer has to hire a delivery vehicle from outside, it might cost them $50. But for you, if you have a delivery van, you can deliver. So answer is that in outbound logistics, I should keep free delivery. That is for sure. But then the question is, should I be keeping my own vehicles or should I outsource to some logistic company? So we agree on this thing that as a core of our business, one of our core activities is delivery of goods. We should be delivering. Customers cannot come in and take these goods by themselves. We need to deliver. So that is for sure. It is something we need to keep. But then the second question arises, what is the best way of doing it? Should we keep our own fleet of delivery vans, maybe 5 delivery vans and 5 drivers, and then 5 or 10 loaders? Or should we hire or make a contract with an outside company who can come and take goods and then deliver? So you think on improvement. ultimately, the idea is that what are the activities in the business which are contributing towards the value maximization? Those activities which are not adding value, we should remove them. And those activities which are necessary for the performance of our business activities, which are necessary, we should keep them. But we should think about alternative ways how to improve them. So it's a very fantastic exercise. And this value chain thing, you don't have to think like that, which type of business it will work and where it will not work. It will literally work on everything, starting from a small restaurant, going towards a large manufacturing business. So this Porter value chain model is very helpful in, and ultimately what happens, by the way, the end result of this exercise, when you do this exercise, you run this model, you apply this model, the end result is that you increase the value. And when you increase value, it actually makes you, how to say, more competitive. It gives you a competitive advantage and it puts you in a better position as compared to your competitors. So you somehow, how to say, it helps you in making your business model sustainable for a longer period of time. And once you do this thing, it does not mean that you should stop it. This Porter value chain analysis, it is like a continuous activity which you should be doing probably every year or maybe every 2 years, because market conditions and the way businesses are done and the way technology is changing. So you need to, how to say, run this model every year or two to remain competitive. So this is about this model, Porter value chain. And now, I just made a quick recap or a quick revision that why do we have it? What is the purpose? I've got a short question in front of me, independent living, to solve and speak about that. But before that, I just wanted to make a quick refresher, that why do we have Porter value chain? Where do we use it? Why do we use it? How do we use it? What is the outcome? Now, coming back to this particular question, like I said, that it says, it's a charity, number one. And then they told you in the very end, they said that, you should make recommendations or evaluate what changes might consider by to the primary activities while continuing to meet their charitable objectives. See, I'm going to discuss it in detail a little while later when we'll start doing it, but I just wanted to, make a quick reference or a quick emphasis that what is the approach here. I know that while doing these processes and activity analysis, sometimes we see that there is a wastage of labor. Sometimes we see that some activities are unnecessary. So we say, okay, remove this activity, change this activity. And as a result, we bring down the head count. As a result, we bring down the head count. We bring down the number of employees. So when you run the model in a commercial organization, at the end, you make a list of recommendations. This should be done, this should be done, this should be done, this should be done. And as part of that recommendation, you definitely come up that this equipment is unnecessary, these vehicles are unnecessary, and these people should be laid off. It is very much possible. And I would say that it usually happens that end of the day, you come up that, 20 people should go out, 50 people should go out, because this is optimization which we have done. But in this particular scenario, it's a charity organization. So like they said that, not compromising on their charitable objectives. So you can't be making such recommendations which would either, put in a disadvantageous situation to your customers, or because your customers are disabled people. So you have to be careful about that. You are not there to take extra money out of your customers' pockets. Because they are disabled people, there's a charitable objective. And plus to your employees as well. So don't come up with any conclusion to me that, or any recommendation that let's fire 50 people, let's fire 20 people. We can't do that. We are not a commercial organization. So this is like, while making your recommendations, while making your suggestions, you need to consider that, where are you coming from? You are coming from, or you are talking to a charitable organization. So we do want to optimize. We do want to make more profit. We do want to avoid losses. We do want to cut down on our costs, but we should not forget that it's a charitable organization. So this is the background of this thing. Now, again, if I start speaking about the answer to this question, it says that part A, analyze the primary activities of the value chain for the product range of IL, independent living. So we understand that we don't have to make recommendations. In part A, it does not say recommend, it just say analyze. That's all. So you have to control yourself. Don't get overexcited. And because these two things are interrelated. First part is analysis. Second part is about recommendations. So you should not be doing overlapping. So, hold your enthusiasm and remain within your control. In part A, you will only speak about analysis. And in part B, you will be talking about the recommendations or suggestions which you want to make based on A. So they both are related to each other. And number two, we will not spend any time on drawing the portals model because they did not ask us to draw it. They didn't ask us. So even if you draw it, you wouldn't get any marks. So no need to draw. And then no need to talk about support activities. So all those support activities are part of the value chain, but we don't talk about it. We only will talk about primary activities. So primary activities, if I speak about, what are the primary activities? We know that primary activities here, we have got here inbound logistics. We've got here operations, outbound logistics. Excuse me for my spellings. Marketing and sales and service. And these are the 5 primary activities. And we should be talking about 5 of these activities with both type of products. So your question, how your solution or your response should start like this, that independent living is a charitable organization. Now I'm starting this solution, okay? My response, if I were in exam, how would I start my response? So I would say that independent living is a charitable organization which provides living aid devices or equipment to disabled people. The products which they provide include simple products such as walking frames and crutches, and it also includes some complex items such as mobility scooters or bath lifts and bathroom accessories, etc. The simple items, which include mobility, which includes walking frames and crutches, are manufactured in-house by the employees or staff of independent living, whereas the complex items are purchased or outsourced from manufacturers, from external manufacturers, and they are brought into the store, into the warehouse until they are delivered. Talking about the primary activities within the organization, the first primary activity is inbound logistics. And then I will write down here inbound logistics. And in inbound logistics, I will tell what is simple items and how do we do complex items. So for simple items such as walking frames and crutches, they buy raw materials, they purchase metal, they transport it. By the way, you should mention here what is inbound logistic. You can mention that inbound logistic, it consists of activities such as, buying the inputs, bringing them into your warehouse, storing them, and then issuing them to the production to the production facility. For simple items, they purchase or they collect this waste metal, using their own vehicle, and they bring it into their warehouse until it is delivered for the production process. For complex items, the manufacturers, they deliver the finished products directly to, directly to the company, Independent Living. So complex items such as mobility scooters and bath lifts, etc., are delivered by the manufacturers to Independent Living, and Independent Living keep it or store it into their warehouse until they receive the orders. Then you come to operations. So operations, it includes conversion of the input raw materials into the ultimate or final output, which is the products which they deliver. For simple items, they manufacture these simple items such as walking frames and crutches are manufactured internally by their own team. Then they are tested and they are packed. For complex items, they receive the goods from outside manufacturers. They keep them into their business. When a customer places an order, they open up this packing, they test that equipment once again, and then they put their logo onto the product, they pack it, and they put a label onto the packing box, and then they deliver it to the customer. So this is for complex item. So what is happening, that you understand the process is what is happening, okay? For simple item, we have got a truck that goes around, it collects the metal from different suppliers. They bring that metal inside, and then they process and they use that metal during the production process, whatever. So they keep the metal here. For complex items, they are delivered in ready form by the manufacturer, and we keep it in our warehouse. Operations involve manufacture of or making of these simple items and opening up, testing, putting the logo on the product, packing it up, and putting a label on the top of the box, and then delivering it. Delivering it actually will come in outbound logistics. Outbound logistics. Again, the two items I need to speak, how this works. So for simple items, we deliver. Complex items also we deliver. In both cases, they deliver these things. So you just have to speak that outbound logistic includes this thing, and this is how it is done. And then marketing and sales, okay? Marketing and sales is done in a how to say, same manner for both of these products. Like for marketing and sales, they have a single page. Now, they told you in the case study that one-page leaflet. Why do they tell you one-page leaflet? This is actually, IL markets its product by placing single-sided promotional leaflets. Like I told you many times, every time I do a question, I repeat the same sentence. Allow me to repeat it again. The answer lies within the question. The answer lies within the question. Why do they tell us that it's a single-sided promotional leaflet? They could have told me that these are leaflets. That's all. Why do they say that it's a single-sided? Single-sided means that it includes very little information. It's a single-sided thing, very small thing, one side. It's not a catalog. It's not a booklet. It's not a product catalog. So that is what comes to my mind. And why do they tell me? Because this is something which is a problem area. I'm going to use this thing. So in marketing and sales, they are putting single-sided leaflets in hospitals and doctors' surgeries. They sell goods. They sell goods through internet, and they sell goods by phone orders. I think that 20-15%. In the last year, the internet sales have grown to 20%. Until recently, until recently it was 15 years. So this year it was 20%, last year it was 15%. Telephone sales, you have got some people, some telemarketing staff who receive the phone calls and they provide information, product information to the customers. And the success rate is 1 out of 2. 50% is the success rate. That is all given in this question. So marketing and sales. Then you've got here, the fifth one was service. So for service in the question, again, here I will talk about simple items. So in case of, service includes after sales service or support provided to the customers or consumers. In case of simple items, there is no mention about, there is no mention in the case study that simple items, they require any kind of after sales service. So we assume that these are simple products and after sales support is not provided. In case of complex items, after sales support is provided by the manufacturer because these are the products which we have purchased from outside, and the manufacturer, original manufacturer, they directly provide support to the customers. Okay. Now, this is a very simple analysis. I'm not focusing on here that which activities are good, which activities are bad. I just mentioned that how these activities are being conducted. Now, if you guys have read this text, this case study, this scenario, I'm sure that you also have noticed that there are few things which took my attention. And I want to touch those things in my second part. Part B is evaluate what changes they might consider. So number one thing is that they are, for here, actually, if you think like simple items, inbound logistics, they collect. It was mentioned in the case that they have their own vehicle, which goes out and collects the metal and brings it back. And this vehicle has become very old and it soon is needed to be replaced. It was mentioned. My question is, why do we collect these things on our own? Why can we not talk to our supplier that they deliver these used metal to our premises? They might charge us, 50 cents extra per kilogram probably, but I would not be needing to have a vehicle depreciation, vehicle fuel, vehicle insurance. I will get rid of all of these things. And there is only one driver which is involved with this vehicle that I can adjust somewhere. But vehicle has got only one, employment, but a lot of other costs which I don't need. Depreciation, fuel, maintenance, and plus I need to spare extra money to buy a new vehicle. So this is one thing which took my attention. I should get rid of that. Number two, which I noticed was that they said that they buy these, they keep these goods in their inventory. And they actually made a deficit. I saw somewhere here that they have some extra goods left from in their warehouse, which became obsolete, and they had to sell these goods at a loss something. I saw that thing. I'm not sure where it is, but it was somewhere here. So why do we, it means that our warehousing, our, this inbound logistic, the warehousing also has an issue. So one issue which I think about is old vehicle used for inbound logistic. So we raise a question actually, if I'm doing part B, I'm actually raising question. So I need to pick up all of these things again. So actually these all of them, I need to take all of them here again. And here I would say suggestions or possible improvements. Yeah, suggestions or possible improvements. So what is needed? This is my part B. If I talk about part B, this is how it would look like. The same activities will come in, but now I say that what possible improvement we can do for simple items. So would say in case of simple item, IL, Independent Living, is collecting this used metal by using their own vehicle. They should consider talking to their suppliers if they could deliver the raw materials to their warehouse. It might cost them slightly more, but they may have significant cost saving on, by getting rid of that old vehicle. So this is one thing you should consider. For complex items, that is very interesting. Complex items are delivered to them and they keep them in their warehouse for a certain period of time until they receive the order. And when they receive the order, they open it up, they test it, they put the logo and they put the label, and then they deliver it to the customer. This entire activity is not needed. This entire activity is just wasting or spending money without any benefit. My question is, why my manufacturer delivers it to me here in my warehouse when I don't have the order? I can tell to my supplier that you can keep 5 pieces or 6 pieces or 3 pieces of my inventory in your warehouse. And you test it. And you put my label. These are my labels. These are my logos. Please put it there and keep the inventory. And when I receive an order, I will tell you, you will deliver it directly to the customer. Why this thing comes to this warehouse? You see here, let's suppose this is the manufacturer, okay? And this is my warehouse. So the goods come in here, and then this is a customer. And then I deliver them here. This is all waste of money. It could have been delivered directly there. Why not? And why do I need to test it? Why do I need to test it? They can test it themselves. Why do I have to put my logo and label? I can give them logos and labels. When they manufacture, they can put it very easily there. They box it. It comes to me. I again unbox it. And then I put logo. Then I put box it again. And then I deliver it again. So everything is being duplicated. So within inbound logistic, this complex item, you have to write a lot of things. This entire process is designed it's a very badly designed process. Here I can think about, outsourcing supplier delivery and getting rid of the old truck. This is what we can suggest for this inbound logistics. This is what we can talk about complex items. Actually, in complex items, you should say this, this entire statement which I said, you should make it here in operations, because that unboxing and labeling and logo thing is in operations. In complex items, you should say that simple line. We need to consider if we really need to keep the goods in our warehouse. Alternatively, we can ask supplier to keep the goods in their warehouse. This will save IL significant costs in terms of storage. So here I'm only saying that don't give me the goods, keep it to yourself, keep it with yourself. And here I will say, because in operations it happened that we said that when customer gives order, we open it, check it, fala. So in complex items, we should be saying that upon receiving orders, suppliers should test the products and put labels and logos. So this goes into operations. And here I should say that suppliers should directly send the goods to customers So you see, this is one activity, but it is split or divided into three areas. Number one is inbound logistics. So I say that don't send me these items, keep it to yourself. In operations, I say when operations comes in, test it, put logo, and then in outbound logistic, please you deliver it. So I'm getting rid of this entire activity, and that would help me in saving the costs, and it would also help me in saving my, so not only my, storage costs are there, but what will happen that my workload will reduce. But here you should mention something actually here. It's very important because when you will make this recommendation, somebody will ask you that, see, these are the areas where 30 people were working. We had a team which was, accepting these things in inbound logistics, in operations. They were testing it, packing it, unpacking it, and then they were delivering it. So when you give these activities to your manufacturers, what these guys are going to do? We are a charitable organization. We don't want to fire 30 people. So this recommendation, it is a good recommendation, but it does have its own implications. What are we going to do? If we apply this recommendation, we will save on the storage space, but we will also have some free people sitting. Should we fire them or should we let them sleep and get money? No, we should be using them in somewhere else, because what is our objective? Our objective is that we are optimizing it. We are improving the process. And we hope that as a result of the improvement of process and as a result of increased value, my business activities will increase, my revenues will increase, we hope to see the growth. And these people whom we are taking out from these areas, we might be using them in other areas. So we don't have a plan to fire them. It is just that we just want to use our resources in the best possible way. I might be using them in sales teams. I might be using them in support teams. So I'm not going to fire them. What the agenda is that as a result of bringing all these improvements, we are expected to grow, and we would be needing more people. And these are the people whom we will use in our growth phase. So you need to be ready for this argument as well. Okay, in between, one question came up that do these charity organizations, they make profits or they don't make profits? So you should remember that charity organizations, or you call them not-for-profit organization, although the word is not-for-profit, but it does not say that no profit organization. We say not for profit, which means that the sole purpose is not to make profit. So these organizations are not set up for profits, but they do make profits, because we don't say them no profit organization. Profit is there. And we don't call it profit, actually. We call it surplus and we call it deficit. In this case, they are making a deficit, which means otherwise they are making a loss. We don't want to make a loss. We want to convert it into surplus. So probably we would love to have $100,000 surplus, which means otherwise it's $100,000 profit. But this is not going to be given as dividends to someone. This will not go into someone's pocket. That surplus will help you in two ways. Number one, it will help you for your sustainability, that you will remain in business. And number two, you would be able to provide this service to a larger number of audience. For example, you set up a library, and if that library makes more money, with that money, you will buy more books. Or maybe if it is more money, you can buy another library. So you don't want to have it only located in one library. You want to increase your network of, let's suppose we call them charitable or not-for-profit hospitals. So do you really wish to serve people in one community? No, I want to have a network of my charitable hospitals. So what we do that we make profits, but very little profits. And those profits are again used to expand your services, which are in the public favor or public well-being. You want to have 10 hospitals. So please don't consider that a not-for-profit organization is working at break-even. They don't work at break-even, and they definitely don't want to work in losses. So, and by the way, part of their surplus is here also an issue. It comes from donations as well. So they put markups very little. They put margins very little so that their products remain cheaper. And then they also collect donations. So small profits and a bit of donations will help them to grow and provide this service at a lower cost to a larger number of people. Clear here? Okay. So we were talking about here operations. So operations, we said simple items. We don't need to, I don't see any problem here. They manufactured them inside. They should continue to manufacture, no problem. For complex items, operations was, unboxing, label, logo, boxing. This should be transferred, or this should be discussed and then transferred to the manufacturers. Outbound logistics, they deliver the good. They should keep on doing it. For complex items, currently they deliver. But this should also be handed over to the supplier, that manufacturer directly ship it to the customer. And this is what the commercial organizations are doing. Because in the question, it says that IL is finding it increasingly difficult to compete with commercial firms offering independent living aids. Many of the commercial firms is competing with have sophisticated sales and marketing. We don't have that. We need to have it. Operations, and then arrange delivery to customers directly from the manufacturers based in low cost countries. This is what is happening in commercial. So we are bringing goods to ourselves, then we are delivering it to the customer, we are doubling the cost. So we should also go for the same model. So in outbound logistic, complex items should be delivered by the manufacturers directly to the customers. Then comes marketing and sales. Their marketing and sales is very weak. What do? They just, you see here, what do they tell us in marketing and sales? In marketing and sales order, it says that IL markets its products by placing single-site promotional leaflets in hospital, doctors, and surgeries, and local social welfare departments. That's all. So there are two weaknesses. Number one, it's a single-sided promotional leaflet, which might not be very convincing, or which might not be very, which does not have strong selling points. So they should be talking about catalogs, full catalogs, not single-sided thing. And then these are limited only to hospitals, doctors, and surgeries. Why? Why not to newspapers? Why not the newspapers? They should be advertising it more thoroughly, and they should be highlighting that this is a charitable organization. So customers would generally give, disabled people would generally give preference to them, because this is an organization which is employing disabled people. They are currently employing 200 disabled people. So who is their customer? Another disabled person. Don't you think that if I convey my point thoroughly, or if I convey my point in more convincingly, that I am a charitable organization, I am hiring 200 disabled people, and I am providing these goods for other disabled people. So, you can find them on the same page. It is just like that they are not properly promoting themselves. They are not telling the audience, they are not telling the customers that who they are and what is their mission. And ethical business considerations, social considerations, they are not using them. So here we should say, in marketing and sales, it is same. It is not for two different separate things. It's one single strategy. We should be saying that what is the process. The weakness of the current process is that it's a single-sided leaflet, which probably does not provide enough or sufficient information or convincing or persuading in a persuading format. And it is only distributed in a very specific number or limited number of points like surgeries and clinics. What they should be doing, that they should have a catalog where they describe the full product with beautiful images and with product descriptions and pricing and whatever. And they should also mention their mission statement. They should also mention the structure of the organization, that it's a charitable organization which is employing the disabled people. And currently we employ 200 disabled people. And we provide these goods and services to the community. So if the marketing and sales is properly done, it would have impact, number one. Number two, they should promote internet. Because currently what is happening, that they have, they told us that on telephone calls they receive, so only 15% of the business is coming through internet, only 15% of the business is coming through website, and 80% of the business is coming through telephone calls. And approximately 10 minutes are spent with each customer explaining them about the product. And then half of the customers, they buy products. So it means a lot of time is being wasted. Imagine 80% of my customers, I'm talking on phone. And actually these 80% sales which have come in, this is 50% of the people I talked. So if I talked, so let me tell you the situation. If I have total 100 customers, 20 customers, they came from internet, 80 customers, they came from telephone. And these 80 actually are half of whom I talked. So I actually talked 160 people to get 80 customers. And each customer I talk with 10 minutes. So I actually have talked 1,600 minutes to get these 80 customers. A lot of, it's not a value adding process. We should try to increase our website sales. And to decrease this burden, what we should do, if our product if we have detailed product catalogs, this 10-minute discussion will not be needed because customers have already seen the necessary information from the catalogs. Put them on the catalog, put them on the web, put that information on the website and put it on the catalog so that you can reduce this time. So right now, what is happening, that your telemarketers are not only selling, they are also providing information about the product. So it's a wastage of time. What you should be doing, probably 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, talking about the price and talking about the delivery. Features they have already seen, number one. So what will this mean? Will this mean that now you need less number of people? And should I fire some people? Again, the same question will arise, that if I optimize this process from reducing a 10 minutes phone call to a 5 minutes phone call, so it means that I need less people in telemarketing. So it means that do I have to fire some people? Again, the answer is no. Because when I'm extensively advertising it in newspapers, and when I'm putting, detailed catalogs in those limited spaces, whichever they are, I expect more phone calls. So those people who get free from here, they actually would be engaged to the increasing new number of customers. So I'm not talking about laying off people. So don't take me wrong. I've not come in here with a brutal plan of firing people. I'm just saying that I want to use them in a better way. So this is marketing and sales is the activity which they need to focus on: internet, catalogs, reducing the number of minutes on telephones, and using the same minutes in talking to new customers. Then they have this thing, service. Service again is one type of service, because simple items, we don't provide any service. It is not mentioned. These are crutches and walking frames. Probably no service is needed. As for complex items, suppliers or manufacturers are already delivering service, and there is no mention that if that service had some problems or not. I mean, they didn't tell us in the case study that there were some problems in providing service, it was late, it was expensive. Nothing was mentioned. So we don't need to talk about it. We should say that apparently it seems like that simple items, no service is provided, complex items, appropriate service is being provided by the manufacturers. That's all. So this should be 15 marks, in which you are talking about suggestions. And while making suggestions, you are also speaking about if these are practically possible or not, and if these are not against your charitable objectives. Okay, so you should be talking, I mean, if you only make references and if you only take this thing, then you might be missing here and you might lose 3-4 marks. So 2 or 3 areas were there where we make a suggestion which looked like that some people will get free and probably we need to lay off these people. You immediately step in and say that I'm not forgetting that I'm a charitable organization. I will get people free from here and I will use them somewhere else in a more constructive way. Rather than talking 10 minutes to each customer, we would be talking 5 minutes to twice as much customers. So this is answer to this question. It was not really very difficult or, how to say complex, but it was related to a very, very, very important syllabus area. And how to apply it and why do we apply it? To understand that thing, this was the purpose of doing this question together today.